This changes everything. This is not a tweak, not a gamble, not a half measure. This is the kind of move that rewrites a franchise's future. Before we go any further, do me one quick favor. If you love Chargers football and want real conversations about where this team is headed, make sure you like this video, share it with another Bolts fan, and subscribe so you don't miss what's coming next. Chargers fans, take a second and let this sink in. Mike McDaniel is on track to become the next offensive coordinator of the Los Angeles Chargers. And no, this is not just another coaching hire. This is not some lateral move or trendy name for headlines. This is a seismic shift in how this franchise thinks, operates, and attacks the future. Ask yourself this honestly: when was the last time the Chargers made a move that felt this bold, this intentional, and this unapologetically aggressive? The feeling right now is familiar, and that's what makes it powerful. It's the same buzz, the same electricity, the same sense of inevitability that surrounded the Jim Harbaugh hire. Back then, there were leaked meetings, whispers from hotel lobbies, growing anticipation that something massive was happening behind the scenes. And when Harbaugh arrived, it wasn't just him. It was the staff. The structure. The identity shift. Jesse Minter came with him, and suddenly the Chargers weren't just changing coaches, they were changing culture. That's why this moment feels so big. Because adding Mike McDaniel to a building that already includes Jim Harbaugh and Jesse Minter doesn't feel like another step. It feels like the final piece being snapped into place. And yes, I'm going to say it out loud. This is championship-level ambition. Now, to be clear, nothing is official yet. Pen hasn't hit paper. There are still procedural hurdles, and there has been chatter about alternative paths, including potential head coaching opportunities elsewhere. But everything coming out of these meetings points in one direction. Long discussions. Extended sit-downs. A shared vision. And after McDaniel passed on another head coaching route, momentum surged toward Los Angeles. So with that context in place, let's talk about what this actually means, because this hire isn't just about play calling. It's about evolution. For decades, Chargers fans have begged for this franchise to stop flirting with the idea of greatness and actually chase it. This team has historically played it safe contracts, safe coordinators, safe philosophies. Big swings were rare. Risks were avoided. And too often, opportunity slipped through their fingers. That hesitation became impossible to ignore after the humiliation against the Raiders a few seasons ago. A 63-point embarrassment. A meaningless game. National spotlight. Ownership watching in person. That loss didn't just sting, it forced a reckoning. And whether people want to admit it or not, that moment set off a chain reaction that brought Jim Harbaugh to Los Angeles. That was the butterfly effect. And now, we're seeing the next wave. What makes this McDaniel move especially fascinating is what it says about Jim Harbaugh himself. Harbaugh has always had a football identity. Physical. Run heavy. Gap schemes. Imposing your will. And for most of his career, that stubborn commitment worked. But here's the growth: Harbaugh looked at this roster and recognized something important. The Chargers were never fully built for a pure power offense. Injuries exposed that reality fast. When the offensive line collapsed. When Rashawn Slater went down. When Joe Alt went down. When the running backs were injured. The offense had no counterpunch. No adaptability. No escape hatch. Everything fell on Justin Herbert's shoulders. And that's the moment that demanded change. Mike McDaniel represents flexibility. Creativity. Adaptation. He represents an offense that can survive chaos and still dictate terms. His system doesn't rely on one idea, it weaponizes uncertainty. Same formations. Different outcomes. Constant motion. Horizontal stress. Vertical punishment. Defenses never know what's coming, even when they've seen the look before. That's the magic of the Shanahan tree. And McDaniel is one of its most dangerous architects. Remember, this isn't just a passing offense. People forget that McDaniel's NFL rise began as a run-game coordinator in San Francisco. This system thrives because it makes running the football easier, not harder. It forces lighter boxes. It freezes linebackers. It creates lanes instead of smashing into walls. How many times have we watched the Chargers run straight into loaded boxes, knowing exactly what the defense expected? That era ends here. And now the most important piece, Justin Herbert. This is where everything unlocks. Mike McDaniel built a highly productive offense around Tua Tagovailoa by emphasizing timing, accuracy, and speed. Tua's strengths were maximized. His limitations were protected. That offense thrived despite arm strength constraints. Now imagine that same creativity paired with a quarterback who has elite arm talent, size, and deep ball ability. This is a different universe. Herbert's arm opens vertical concepts that McDaniel couldn't fully explore before. Speed becomes lethal instead of necessary. Play action becomes devastating. Deep shots become routine, not rare. And that's why this pairing feels inevitable. Here's the question of the day, and I want you to comment below: does Justin Herbert finally get the offense he deserves with Mike McDaniel calling the shots? Because the ripple effects go far beyond the quarterback. Ladd McConkey becomes a nightmare matchup in this system. His separation ability, movement skills, and versatility scream fit. He can thrive underneath, stretch vertically, and be moved all over the formation. This offense was built for players like him. Quentin Johnston is a fascinating wild card. If he stays, his athletic traits and speed suddenly make sense. He becomes a tool instead of a question mark. Used creatively, he could flourish. And then there's the engine, Amari and Hampton. This offense leans on running backs who can do everything. Vision. Burst. Receiving ability. Hampton checks those boxes. His college tape showed untapped receiving upside, and this system will finally feature it. Screens. Flare routes. Checkdowns by design, not desperation. He fits this philosophy perfectly. But this transformation won't happen without roster change. The offensive line must evolve. Zone concepts demand lateral movement, athleticism, and communication. The bookend tackles are a strong foundation, but the interior needs renovation. This system will force tough decisions, and resources will be allocated accordingly. Wide receiver speed becomes a premium. Veterans who can stretch the field and threaten horizontally will be valued. That may mean difficult choices. It may mean unexpected movement. And yes, speculation exists about elite speed entering the building. Those conversations aren't random. They align with the philosophy shift. One final layer makes this even more intriguing: the possibility of Frank Smith returning. A familiar face. A trusted lieutenant. A coach who knows McDaniel's system and Justin Herbert. If that happens, it doesn't just strengthen the present, it ensures the future. Because here's the reality: success breeds poaching. If Mike McDaniel unlocks this offense the way we expect, head coaching offers will come fast. That's the price of doing things right. But building a coaching pipeline ensures continuity even when change is forced. That's how championship organizations operate. And that brings us to the bottom line. This move tells you everything you need to know about where the Chargers believe they are. The Super Bowl window is open. Not theoretical. Not someday. Now. Teams don't make hires like this unless they believe the moment has arrived. For the first time in a long time, the Chargers aren't chasing relevance. They're chasing dominance. So ask yourself one last question: are you ready for an offense that looks completely different by September? Because if this comes together, the league won't be ready.